Welcome into the BRSN Insider. I'm sitting down with head women's lacrosse coach here at Benedictine, Amanda Magee. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
2-0 so far in the year and a big win last night, 6-5 against Ottawa to start out your conference season. Talk a little bit about that.
It was a very exciting game, kind of back and forth the entire time. Really slow in the first half. It was 2-1 at halftime, and definitely a defensive battle on both sides of the game. But the girls really played with a lot of poise and kept their emotions under control, and I think that's really what pushed us over Ottawa.
Obviously, it was probably your first major test of the year based on the scrimmage and the game against Truett McConnell. What was preparation like for that game?
We don't change too much of what we do depending upon our opponent. The girls get a scout the day before, and we kind of go over strengths of the other team, but I like to really focus on our game and make sure that everything is crisp and it looks fresh. I was really excited to play them first, to have our first conference game be Ottawa. Last year we played them towards the end of the season, and then we played them really quick again in the conference tournament. So to come out and beat them and really have that be our first big win, it's a great momentum builder for the rest of the season.
6 goals last night, all 6 scored by freshmen. And you have a freshman in that. Talk a little bit about your recruiting class.
They are a fantastic bunch. They really have a solid work ethic, and you can tell they want to be successful. You know, they saw how successful we were last year, and I think with the leadership we have on the team with the returners, it is a beautiful mix of newbies and returners.
Your first full year now as a Circle. You guys went to the national tournament last year. Talk about your first year in general as a whole, things you've learned and the experiences that you've had so far.
It was definitely a wild ride for us last year. I think being such a young team and having such early success, at times we didn't really know how to handle it. But winning the conference tournament and going to the national tournament was probably the best thing that could have happened for us. We've had a lot of ladies who had never seen that level of lacrosse before, and they said, "Coach, we didn't know lacrosse could look like this." So them seeing that it can be played this physically, and that a lacrosse player is a full athlete, that was incredible for them to see. And I think it really pushed them to work in the off season. When they came back for fall ball, they were on fire, and I could tell that they had been working this summer. And if you're going to be a successful college athlete, you have to work out all year long. And I could really tell that they put in the work. So it's exciting to see it all come together, and I think last night it really started to click during our game against Ottawa.
And Taryn had a good game last night. First KCAC honors came out last week. She was the defensive player of the week. Talk a little bit about her.
It's exciting to see that recognition for her, especially as a freshman. I think the goalie position is definitely not easy, and it's great for her to come out the gate and get that. I think that gives her a lot more confidence. It's nice to have that also, and for the other conference teams to see, how well she's doing. And last night she had a fantastic game, especially being so young. It's easy to play with jitters, but she didn't have any of those last night. She did a wonderful job.
Looking forward now to Saturday, you guys travel to St. Mary's, second conference game. Last time you were at St. Mary's, you won the KCAC. What's preparation like? What are your expectations for St. Mary's?
We've seen them play in fall, so we played them. We had a scrimmage with them in the fall, and they've got a few really good players. I don't think they have a unit like us. I think what makes us a special team is we really all work on the field together as a unit. So for us right now, and we'll work on that a little bit today and tomorrow, it's really just making sure we're focusing on ourselves and making sure, again, that our passes are crisp and transition looks good, and just getting our bodies in shape, ready to play again. Last night was a very physical game for us, so I think it will be much more mentally tasking as well, just to get us over that hump.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks
Appreciate
so much.
it. Amanda Magee, head coach here at Benedictine of the Benedictine College women's lacrosse team on the BRSN Insider.
Benedictine College is a chosen place with a special mission. Chosen to lead students in the classroom and outside it. Chosen to bring students closer to God and to each other. Chosen to build one of the great Catholic colleges in America.
There's a call to be answered. The spirit of competition is still alive inside. The desire still drives. The phrase student athlete has a great ring to it. Lasting friendships are ready to be made. You just want to keep playing. Game on. Build character for life at championsofcharacter.org.
Welcome back into the BRSN Insider. I'm sitting down with head Benedictine men's lacrosse coach Ben Coughlin. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
2-0 to start the year, a 9-6 win against Asbury, an 11-4 win against Montreat. Talk about those two games.
Great performances. We went out there to get 2 wins, got 2 wins, so that was nice. Asbury, that's a tough team, tough out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we stuck to the game plan and we executed and came out on top. Montreat, a little bit better day, execution-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Had a couple more goals. Defense was a lot more, improved than the previous game.
Mm-hmm.
So felt pretty good there, and again came out on top, which was the goal.
Mm-hmm. A lot of new pieces to your team this year. Talk about the recruiting process and through fall ball, getting them worked into the system and how they've been producing.
Right. Well, fall ball is all about getting the new guys sort of, in tune with what we want to do. So, we spent all fall doing that. And then, we carry that into the spring with practice starting in mid-January. And we kind of just basically want to pick up right where we left off in the fall. I think we've, done that. But, yeah, a lot of new pieces on the team. I would say about 2/3 of the team are freshmen or sophomores, but they're picking up pretty quickly. We like to keep it as streamlined and as simple as possible, and that's been sort of the ingredients to our success up to this point.
How helpful is it to have some of those younger guys look up to and be able to talk to guys like Zach McGuff and Chris Gerken?
Huge. Those are guys that have been around college lacrosse 3-4 years. They've been on the team for 2 years. They know how we operate, how we want to operate. So, to have guys like those guys on the team really, streamlines the process as far as getting the new guys up to speed with, how we want to operate. So, they're great.
Sorry.
No, you're fine, yeah.
Okay. Your first full year as a program now. Talk a little about your experiences and some things you learned from last year that you can take into this year.
Things I learned from last year, I think that managing my own expectations is probably the hardest part. I got the bar pretty, set pretty high, and it's each game's a different game. You never know what you're going to get. You have to learn to adjust on the fly, and that's really what I've learned. And sort of taking it one, possession at a time, one day at a time, one game at a time. Sort of, slow it down for myself, and I expect the guys to sort of take it the same way, one game at a time, one practice at a time. So I think slowing down is probably the biggest thing that I've taken away from being here for a year.
First home game coming up. For people that haven't seen your team play yet, what can they expect just as a whole?
Defensively, we're strong. I think that's the strongest part about the team. We're going to get out there. We're going to press them. We're going to get on hands, try to cause turnovers. Offense, we like to move the ball, share the ball, play fast, but play smart. So I think you'll see a very exciting style of lacrosse on Saturday, and big game coming up. So we're excited for that.
Talk a little bit about St. Ambrose, your expectations.
St. Ambrose, good team. I think they're a lot better than their what they've produced so far. They're sitting at, I think, 1-4, 1-5, but they have lost 2 games by like 1 goal, so they're competitive in every game. So I'm trying to, stress to the team, it's going to be a fight. We got to get out there, and play ball. We can't, they're going to come out swinging, so we got to come out, swinging as well. So it's going to be battled.
You guys play in one of the toughest conferences in the entire nation, the KCAC, NAIA-wise. Now you're receiving votes. As a second-year program, what's that like?
It's cool, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty sweet. It's a lot of fun. Seeing him on the polls. But in the end, this poll thing doesn't really count until the end of the season. So we try to keep our eyes off the polls, but it's hard to. With everything that's out there, Twitter, Facebook, things like that. But is it cool? Yeah. But we try just to again take it one game at a time, one practice at a time. That's what we want to do.
Awesome. Coach, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Best of luck to you on Saturday.
Thank you.
Ben Coughlin, head men's lacrosse coach here at Benedictine College on the BRSN Insider.
Benedictine College is a chosen place with a special mission. Chosen to lead students in the classroom and outside it. Chosen to bring students closer to God and to each other. Chosen to build one of the great Catholic colleges in America.
There's a call to be answered. The spirit of competition is still alive inside. The desire still drives. The phrase student athlete has a great ring to it. Lasting friendships are ready to be made. You just want to keep playing. Game on. Build character for life at championsofcharacter.org.
Welcome back to the final segment on this week's edition of the BRSN Insider. Josh Pound pinch hitting for Casey Splane, joined now by the head softball coach for your Ravens, Dana Goss. And Coach, off to a pretty good start to the season so far. Had to kind of adjust the schedule last week, added an extra pair of games to the home slate that weren't originally there, but all in all, probably not quite the result that you wanted coming out of those games, but the team is starting to kind of gel together as you get ready to head to another tournament this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're 3 years in now, and you can tell the switch has been flipped on. The light has come on for some of our girls. We've got a long way to go. It's very, very early. Obviously, touching on the games, having those home games with Ottawa, anytime you get a chance to have home games, that's a great thing. And we were in the exact same boat as they were a couple years ago when we were redoing our field. So we switched for them, and that made it great for us. Had a great homestand. We were a little short on pitching that day because of an injury, and so Ottawa's a good team, and I thought that we actually played really well the first game. We left a few runs on the board, but we hit the ball pretty well and did some nice things, but they saw our pitcher for like 11 innings, and they're going to get to you when they see you that much.
Well, between the 4 games that you played at home, you took a trip down to Conway Springs, Arkansas, and were able to come out of that tournament 3-1. Just kind of take us back through those games a little bit.
Yeah, well, the first game of the day, I thought at that point we were, it was our 3rd game into the season. At that point, I thought that was, our best showing. You could tell that we had knocked the rust off from the opening weekend. And then we actually, we were 2 innings into our night game that night, and the wheels just came off, so to speak. It was definitely a tale of 2 different teams when you looked at the score of that game and then the score of the game the morning coming out. So the best thing to come out of that was, I really challenged the kids after that, and they responded. And in fact, the team that we beat so poorly or so badly beat the team that we lost to. We obviously were, coming out strong that morning and followed it up with a nice win in the road trip. And we saw some good things. And anytime you get a chance to play that many innings in a row, is definitely a good thing. So.
Well, ultimately, all of the games that are being played right now, including the 4 you've got coming up this weekend at Friends, is the tune-up for the conference schedule that'll start there on the second half of spring break. A lot of familiar faces with this year's squad, but you do have some pretty big shoes to fill off of last year's squad. Katie Rickliff's the all-conference pitcher of the year, and then your stolen base king. right there as well. Just talk about some of the fresh faces to the program this year and how they're starting to settle in with the team.
Well, yeah, anytime that you lose kids that are that impactful, it's you hate to see them go because it's like they just are starting to get that process, and then you got to tell them bye and wish them well. The great thing is that I do feel, especially the fact that we have such a young pitching staff. Nikki got a lot of really good innings last year, and she's really by far and away ahead of any pitcher that I've had this early into her career. She's still just a sophomore. She's going to have some ups and downs still. She's got some growing still to do. Obviously, Alex Gillum is a freshman pitcher who she's talented. She is a freshman, and there is definitely a learning curve, and she got roughed up a little bit to begin with, but I think the fact that she's understanding how different it is to pitch on this level, because she's been cruising in games, and then all of a sudden that's when they get to her, and that just shows that's just the lack of experience. And like I tell my girls all the time, you can't go to Walmart and go buy experience. You got to go through it. You got to live through it, and then you get it. Molly Chevalier is another new face. She's our shortstop, and that kid is a tremendous athlete. She could probably play just about anywhere on the field, and she's stepped in and done a nice job. We've had to move some people around a little bit, bring in Sarah Medfin, who's a sophomore. She had a great freshman campaign and moving her on the infield, but she's really been transitioning nicely, working very hard. And again, just overall the team vibe. I mean, you can see the growth from our sophomore class a lot, stepping up, learning from last year, and the group of seniors that we have across the board. I mean, I think that we just have something special with the leadership. They have bought in since day one, but I mean now they're 3 years into that, and you can just see the pride that they have in the program and the school and everything they do, and that's just that's such a great thing to see.
Well, finally, with the addition of 2 new teams to the conference this year, the conference schedule takes on a new shape that's not been seen before in softball. A, divisional play, and B, it's a double round robin schedule now that you play games against a team at home, and then you'll also go play another doubleheader at their place, which changes your non-conference schedule, obviously.
Yeah.
Just talk about what that's going to be like. You guys are all going to kind of be experiencing that experience together for the first time.
Yeah, I think it's an unknown element at this point. No one has been through it, and it is going to be very different when you see an opponent 4 times, and that's definitely going to prove to be challenging in different ways. And I didn't really like giving up the non-conference schedule as far as playing those good quality opponents, which is another reason I'm really excited about this weekend's tournament. We get to go out and play the defending national champions, and that's going to be really exciting. But when this conference change happened, like all you do is you go play it, and you go out there and you give it your best shot every time. I just think it's going to be so different. It's really going to be a grind, seeing so many teams so often, and the teams that moved in, they're not exactly close, so that also adds another element there. But I'm looking forward to it, and I hope it's a good thing, and I think it's definitely going to be growing for all of us, and learning experience really for everyone across the board in the conference.
Well, thanks for taking the time out. I know you got to leave here in a couple hours to head down to Wichita. Coach Goss and the Ravens in action this weekend down at the Friends University Tournament on Friday and Saturday. And then they will come back home at the end of spring break on the 12th, if I remember right, to open up their conference home schedule. So good luck to you and the ladies this weekend, and as you get ready to go for conference.
Thank you so much for having me.
Benedictine College is a chosen place with a special mission. Chosen to lead students in the classroom and outside it. Chosen to bring students closer to God and to each other. Chosen to build one of the great Catholic colleges in America.